This being known as Palpatine, or one could say Darth Sidious, is obsessed with power in all assets. He has a lot of resources because he was in a lot of governmental type stuff for a while, secretly amassing power in the shadows. But all that time, he is indeed a Sith Lord, a dark side user that's pretty high up there on the food chain. I mean, he had this plan to get a clone army, program them to turn on the Jedi to purge majority of them, so the Jedi won't overthrow him or challenge his rule. Everybody knows of the super weapons that he had to build to destroy planets, the Death Star. But Palpatine's the type of guy where eventually, since he's so obsessed with power, he would love to not need tedious devices like this. In time, Force users, especially in the Legends continuity, can learn to get destructive capacity or ability that can get as destructive as even the Death Star, so they won't need those costly constructions anymore, right? That's something Palpatine would definitely strive towards. And he definitely gets pretty high up there. You're going to see as this video goes on. You guys already know the deal. There's this galaxy in Star Wars, far, far away, that's ruled by a galaxy-wide government. This huge organization has stormtroopers and all kinds of stuff. At the top of the food chain, there's two Sith Lords, one of them being the famous Darth Vader, and then the other being Darth Sidious. He's a superhuman entity type being because there's individuals in this universe that can use superpowers because of the Force and stuff. He's one of those beings. Depending on what you choose, you can either be on the light side or the dark side. He's a dark side user. That's why the galaxy was under like tyranny, basically. It's a universe where aliens and humans or many species coexist amongst each other, talk amongst each other like it's no big deal. But one of the beings at the very top of the food chain, despite there being a whole bunch of beings in the galaxy that can use energy or use this extraterrestrial energy known as the Force, he's the Emperor. His rank is a Sith Lord, right? When it comes to rankings, there's only one other that's up there with him that has this rank known as Sith Lord. While there's also other Force users in this empire, you might know them as the Inquisitors. This happens in the canon stuff, but today I'm going to be going over with the stuff that happens in Legends. You're probably thinking, what's the difference? It's basically an alternate continuity. Just like the original timeline, in Legends, some of the same events happen, like, Vader basically turning his back on Palpatine and killing Palpatine, but in Legends continuity, they actually expand upon Palpatine more, basically using cloning special type stuff to pretty much bring Palpatine back. This universe of Star Wars is ridiculously high tech, so cloning seems to be like a normal thing in this universe. One can say how this clone stuff work in Legends is like one could say body possession, like he's dropping this fragile flesh, for example, to get a new body. And thanks to the power of the dark side, has given him a power to enter one of his clones. Indeed, he can enter anyone. I can overshadow the soul that dwells therein. I can enter your child, he says, that is stirring in your womb and take him over. Like, that's how he keeps coming back, basically, in the dark side. But just like canon continuity, Legends Palpatine can do the standard stuff, like basically have superpowered abilities, like picking stuff up without touching it or choking beings, telekinesis type stuff. And since he's deep in the dark side, he can also do force lightning as well. Just the standard stuff he could do in the previous continuity. Legends, same abilities too. Think of this version of Palpatine like canon Palpatine, but on steroids. There's even some occasions it's implied he can levitate himself or even make a lightning shield or barrier around himself, like how Starkiller can do in Legends. It's literally shown in the game, him levitating. He can even force choke you while blasting you with lightning at the same time. Double combo. He's such a master that he has precision to where he doesn't hit his own guards, but can take out a lot of people and direct it to the beings he wants to hit and not hit everybody as collateral. I kind of feel bad for these beings. They all get shook. He can use a laser sword and also channel his lightning through his lightsaber to make it more deadly. Sidious, especially in Legends lore, was obsessed with knowledge. He spent many of his years studying ancient holocrons to learn the secrets of the Sith. It allowed him to channel Sith spirits, helping his versatility. The Sith spirits, who taught him how to harness dark side energy and release lethal bolts of lightning. During the Clone Wars, Palpatine conducted Sith rituals on Coruscant that radiated unnerved ripples in the Force, which caused anxiety among most Jedi throughout the galaxy. You might as well say these characters are a lot more durable than normal because they can use the Force for shielding or barriers to help reflect blaster bolts and stuff. Palpatine is no exception. Just like in canon, there's no surprise in Legends that he can do telepathy type stuff, go in your head, read your mind. People talk about how they can hear his voice from anywhere. Don't be surprised if you hear me bring up Luke Skywalker a lot in this video, but in this particular occasion, Luke Skywalker, he enters his mind. Two strong people with the Force touch minds, they state. Invading Luke's mind, this usually beings with strong minds can't get their mind invaded like this, lets you know how strong Palpatine is. It's natural that he has super senses, like he knows when a Jedi High Council member is died. That's why when his apprentices tell him something happens, he already knows stuff that happened already. In this Legends novel, Darth Plagueis, He's able to hide his force sensitivity to the point where other Jedi in the area don't sense him. I mean, I think it's a no duh that he can conceal his force sensitivity from other top tiers, because this dude was the chancellor of, in front of a whole bunch of Jedis on a daily basis, gaining power, gaining a high position in government, and none of the Jedi like Mace Windu or Yoda even knew it. Of course, until it was too late. So yeah, that's a no-brainer. Palpatine has this technique with the Force known as combustion to make stuff explode, especially things of flammable material, and this is considered child's play. I mean, this guy made a lightsaber explode. In this book, for example, it's actually confirmed that he can drain entities. Sidious can draw power from other stuff within himself. Palpatine, and especially in Legends, can do force storms. You can kind of see a variant of this in the canon new movies, I guess. They was trying to imply this is their version of a force storm. It's a lightning attack that has crazy aerial effect type of thing. So not only can he blast with lightning, but he can legit make a force storm. I'm going to get back to this later on in this same video. Matter of fact, in the Star Wars Book of the Sith novel, the force storm is a technique that's implied that it would take decades to master, but if he does, he'll be invincible. The force storm will let you know how destructive it can get. Oh, and by the way, if you thought he was on steroids in the Rise of Skywalker canon stuff, oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, but let's get it. It's stuff like this you may forget when it comes to heavy stuff he can move with the Force, like big old ships. Weight seems to be irrelevant. Let's start it off with a bang when it comes to his raw power output. We've seen him clash with beings like Starkiller, you know, from the Force Unleashed, the video game, in Legends continuity, the same being we've seen use the Force to bring down a Star Destroyer. Palpatine is on this level. I'm not playing. When it comes to this novel right here, for example, on page 260 to be exact of this novel, they talk about how he was able to move the 1,000,000-ton machine. So we got an official number of how much the weight is in this Legends continuity novelization. So right off gate, we just starting, and Palpatine's already confirmed to have the destructive output to move 1,000,000 tons, just like how Starkiller can. You can see him literally clashing with Starkiller himself, the man that ripped the Star Destroyer out the sky. And this didn't go well for Starkiller. You guys already know he can use a lightsaber too. Notice how his force blast or lightning could kind of manhandle Starkiller in this particular occasion, made him sleepy. We've even seen him get the edge on Starkiller. Speaking of the hierarchy when it comes to the Jedi, Sith Lords, and all that good stuff, this is still technically a downplay. When it comes to the raw power with the Force, you know, you have your Jedi Padawans over here, your trainees, your youngest that still got a lot to learn. And then you got your top tiers way down here, Yoda being one of the beings like this. You get it? This should be common knowledge for anybody that's in the Star Wars, that Sidious can hang with the big boys, aka beings like Yoda himself, beings that are way above Padawan level. I mean, we've seen him match Yoda in the comic legend stuff too. Why am I bringing this up? Because Padawans in the Star Wars universe, when it comes to Force ability, who are not even considered that strong yet, pretty much at the bottom of the food chain. I mean, we've technically already seen Palpatine fight a Sith Lord level being like Starkiller are in Legends, right? But in this occasion, you see a Padawan, aka a trainee Jedi type being that's nowhere near the top of the food chain, do something crazy. Like there was this big old Star Destroyer right here that was falling. And even Padawan level beings have this kind of raw power to slow down stuff this mass of things that have to weigh 1,000,000 tons. So if she can do this, what do you think Sidious can do? So of course, you got humongous ships. This is what he would do to it. He can move it upward if he felt like it. It's stated right here that the Emperor can use force storms to take out entire fleets. Do you remember how earlier in the video I brought up the fact that he can use lightning and he can do a force storm? Let's get back to the force storm stuff right quick. I mean, this is how the force storm is explained. It's a truly inspiring demonstration of pure natural energy. After using the force to open a hyperspace wormhole, yeah, it can kind of open wormholes and you can kind of travel distances with this as well, by the way. Yeah, folding space and time, you know what I mean? Tremendous shocks will ripple through the fabric of space, it says, due to the force storm's potential for abuse. It is classified as a dark side power Palpatine has. The reborn Emperor used this. It has the power to kill worlds. Yeah, kind of can give you implications of the destructive capacity if this is to be taken literal. Are they saying he can create a storm that can just take out an entire planet? Matter of fact, in Star Wars Dark Empire's source book, they talk about force storms. They are immensely destructive and violate the laws of nature. This is perhaps the most destructive force power known. This power allows Jedi to twist space-time continuum to create vast storms of force. The power also allows limited control of these storms. The storms can swallow whole fleets of spaceships or tear the surfaces off worlds. Some are able to create force storms but fail to harness or control it to where they kind of go berserk on their own after they create their own thing. If the user is destroyed, however, the storm will dissipate within minutes. Are they implying that a force storm could do significant damage to the surface of a planet? One can say continental type damage. I mean, you got to look at it in lore like this. They literally say the ability to destroy a planet is insignificant compared to the power of the Force. You know, when Vader was talking. They say this in canon as well. In Legends, they seem to say stuff like this, but then have the visual narrated type feats to imply they really can legitly mess up in a whole system. The Emperor's the type of being to where he doesn't want to rely on a Death Star for planet busting stuff, rather than he can just do it himself. Via, one can say, with force storms. You guys might not know this, but Palpatine at one point had a master, Darth Plagueis, you know, in the past. It was literally stated in this same book when it comes to Darth Plagueis in this book. It was stated as collateral, a tremor took hold of the planet, aka shaking the planet. In a powerful wave, they describe it, once boring deep into the world's core, radiating through its atmosphere to shake the stars themselves. At the quake's epicenter stood Sidious. It's a common theme when you embrace the power of the dark side to a really deep degree in Star Wars lore, that Sith Lords is the beings that do this, of course, that get yellow eyes when they embrace it. In the novelization, the novel talks about yellow eyes, implying Darth Sidious had eyes, because that's what they're talking about. Standard eyes of Sith, basically. They mention it again. He saw the trembling stars flare. The power of the dark side was anointing him. It's one conversation having the power to shake an entire planet, but it's another thing considering how in real life Earth is compared to the sun when it comes to the sheer size difference between Earth and the sun in real life. They say he not only shook a planet, but shook a star itself. Matter of fact, it's stated on multiple times that stars were shook, like multiple suns. So imagine shaking, with your power output, multiple suns in collateral of you battling another being. You got panels like this that imply that their fight infected the entire galaxy in a weird way, thanks to, force clashing. One could interpret implications of him realigning different stars, multiple stars, making a new constellation. Like in occasions like this, they talk about how the stars seem to be moving as normal, aka him not affecting it, but then they also imply that some of the stars are aligning in a way to where he is the reason on why the stars moved a certain way, or they were affecting it. Talking about how they were basically unsettled. This word right here means unsettled, tugged by dark matter into novel alignments. All of this is implied to be as collateral to their power, because they even mentioned down here, after all of this was stated, had the Force ever been so strong in anyone? All of this is implied to be because of his raw Force ability, because they even say, had the Force ever been so strong in anyone else? Talking about, man, I feel so powerful. I'm moving or starting all these constellations to move on their own. I feel ridiculously powerful. That's kind of what this is implying. He's feeling towards himself when it comes to his newfound power. Like, it's one thing to make stars shake, but to make his own constellations based on the result of his power's collateral damage is a whole nother thing. In Legends, they always continuously bring up stars when it comes to their powers, so it's implying that it's not just a pun when they say stars and stuff. They're talking about how he gets more powerful and stuff and blotting out the stars on his journey, blah, blah, blah. You got occasions like this. In this novelization, they state that Palpatine, and I quote, a black hole of the Force. I find that convenient they call him a black hole of the Force after all this star type of statements or narrations. You know what I'm saying? They said in time when you master such abilities, they can get as destructive as the Death Star, planet busting type stuff. I hope you guys don't get tired of me bringing up Vader and Luke Skywalker in this video. One of the good ways to understand how mighty Sidious was is to compare him to other top tiers. Like, we know Vader's a top tier. We also know Luke Skywalker's a top tier. And I shouldn't have to show this, but when it comes to his raw force power output, whether it be force power, blunt power, or just a lightning ability, he can actually give Luke Skywalker a run for the money. And this is not Luke Skywalker in his prime, because of course Luke Skywalker does get stronger as time goes by. I don't think I should have to distinguish between Palpatine and his clones. You know, that's how they revived him. I mean, you got occasions later in the lore. He blasted Leia, made her sleepy. He's gotten a few scuffles with Legend Luke Skywalker, and everybody has this reputation. Everybody knows how overpowered Legend Luke Skywalker is. I mean, you already know him and Luke Skywalker have gotten stronger as time goes by. Same with Emperor, with the clones, stuff like that. It's showing when it comes to power, the Emperor is still technically a threat. I don't want to wank him or nothing. He has taken his fair share of L's to Luke Skywalker because, you know, Luke's the hero and stuff. But it's never easy. It's literally confirmed that beings that are literally no match for Luke Skywalker, and we know Palpatine is a match for him to some degree, beings like this was asked, could you make the sun explode? He asked, I don't know. It's like a possibility. I don't want to try. probably because it would cause massive devastation, because they talk about how the Force is in the smallest pebble and it's in the largest star. So it seems like they just keep on doing this sun type stuff in Legends. Like, yeah, implied that lower beings than Luke and stuff can make suns explode if they manipulate it with the Force if they wish. I mean, there's more evidence of how he is on the power hierarchy. It's other things like his speed and everything put together, like him blitzing different Jedi and all this craziness. Like, they should know better than to try something like this. Like, when everybody pulled up to arrest him, a whole bunch of Jedi top tiers, some of them got straight up blitzed, even though these are not weaklings, just to show where he is in the hierarchy. The real way to understand Sith Lord's power is that with every generation, there's implications that the Sith of the new era are always better than the previous era. Because there's like this common theme of the Siths always betraying one another. Like, for example, one Sith gets an apprentice, that apprentice ends up beating the master, now he's stronger, then it repeats, boom, 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 the new one beats the master, the new one beats the master. It's like a continuous portrayal thing with the Sith to kind of help the dark side gain more power. In this scrapbook, for example, they talk about how the Sith maintain their secrecy, passing down their evil heritage. They gain knowledge of the dark side of the Force. Their powers increase with each generation. This kind of adds a whole new equation, because if this is to be taken seriously, to get a real understanding of Sith's power is to compare his feats to the past stuff. I mean, if you think this over-the-top stuff is BS, you got beings like Darth Nihilus who can literally drain in a whole planet. I'm talking about on some drainage, force draining type stuff. This Sith, for example, was a Force vampire. He spoke, every living thing on Qatar died. The destruction of Qatar echoed through the Force, countless lives. When they bring up previous dark Sith users from the past, that kind of makes Palpatine look more impressive. But at the end of the day, all of this could be just me. Do you think the legend stuff is absurd? I mean, when you really think about the Force, it is everything, and it's something that binds the galaxy together, you know? So when you really tap into it, the absurdity, especially in this Legends continuity, really explores it. But you gotta respect Emperor Palpatine in canon or in Legends. I mean, he's just always gonna be at the top of the food chain when it comes to writer intent and narrative anyway. But before I get going, quickly I gotta say thanks to everybody that has donated to the channel. Helps out a lot. Respect Palpatine. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.